Good morning, folks. This is Ken Kavanaugh, and this is just a quick little blurb about despotism in America. Well, let's start off with what is despotism? Do we even know what that word is? Well, many of us do. Despotism is actually the proper description of a dictatorship. A despot example is, for example, the North Korean dictatorship of Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il. These are despots. Despot is the noun applied to the ruler of a despotic nation. So a despot is basically a single person rule. This is something that could actually be applied in a lot of cases to former monarchies. The British monarchy is no longer actually using the monarchy to rule things, but they operated in a despotic fashion until they yielded to Parliament a couple hundred years ago. But a despot would be an example of Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was a despot. What he said was rule across all of the German-held territories. These are despots. This particular video is despotism in America. We don't think of the President of the United States being a despot, but I'm saying that our presidents have been despots for most of my adult life, actually most of my life entirely. Even before I prepared this video for you here this morning, I tried to think back, saying, when was the last president that we had that I could construe not to be a despot? And I have to go back to my childhood days, and at that point, I don't even really feel I could give a good evaluation of like JFK as to whether he was a despot. LBJ certainly was. Then Nixon after him. Gerald Ford, maybe not so much. Jimmy Carter, I'm not so sure about that. But when you got to Ronald Reagan, we went right back to a despotic type of government. How did this come about? Or do you even believe me yet? Notice I haven't mentioned our more current and recent president. Joe Biden is certainly leading in a despotic sort of a fashion. Of course, in his case, he's just a puppet of the Democrat Party. So essentially, we've got a collective despot in the White House today. Donald Trump led by a despotic form of government. He had an uncooperative Congress, so he actually couldn't pass laws through the legislative process. So he just wrote executive order after executive order after executive order and ran by edict. We've seen a lot of this just last year in 2020 down in the States, where Governor Newsom of California, Whitmer of Michigan, Cuomo of New York became despotic leaders because they saw the opportunity to take people's rights away under the guise of a pandemic. Right? How many of you out there were closed into your homes for weeks, months at a time during 2020 simply because your despotic leader said you had to stay at home, that they couldn't even risk social distancing out in the streets? How many of you just last year yourselves or knew of people who were actually arrested and cited for being outside without a mask on? These are despotic leaders. These are despotic edicts, and this is actually despotism in America. How far back can we go? Like I say, I went back as far as LBJ. I didn't really cite examples. LBJ wasn't quite as despotic as what we have today, though I was still a preteen when LBJ was in office. He rammed Medicare down our throats, but in that case he did it from a despotic system of government. What LBJ had to get Medicare ran through the American Congress was a Democrat-controlled Congress. So we had a collective despot rule under LBJ. And this is what we face the risk of anytime we have the entire Washington, D.C., three branches of government all under the control of one political party, is we're going to have collective despotism. It's because we've got partisan politics in America that has actually led to this despotism approach to rule in America. I'm sure that everyone here, throughout their lives, remembers that every 4 years, the direction of the country could be changed by electing one person into one office. That's despotism. Whether you like the result or not, it's still despotism. Now, the problem with despotism is that not even 20 people can agree to the rule of one person. You go to any company out there, organization out there that's got an 18 to 20 person staff underneath the manager, And when they have a planning meeting, you're going to get 12 different opinions on how to do things. And that's what freedom is all about, and that's why despotism was really not written into the American Constitution. Matter of fact, the American Constitution writes the structure of our government the entire opposite direction, where the President of the United States is almost an invisible figure. Governors of states are also similarly almost invisible figures. They almost have nothing to do with your daily lives. Despotism can occur even in the city level of government if you have everything run by a mayor as opposed to a city council. Pardon me. So the idea being of this particular video is to introduce the idea that despotism in America has been in existence for some period of time. I'm not bringing it up now just because of the Communist Democrat Party. They're taking advantage of despotism now, and they intend to actually make it permanent. But that's the reason I'm actually uploading this video here now, is to awaken people to the current despotism, but also making sure that they're aware that we have been moving into despotism for decades. You can go as far back as, well, I mean, you can go back to the early 1900s. I like to bring up FDR's New Deal as the introduction of socialism and a despotic edict saying this will fix our depression. It didn't. The depression was being fixed naturally throughout the globe anyway. But he despotically imposed the New Deal upon us, complete with Social Security and the food stamps and the other aspects that went with all that, simply because he felt that he had the best idea and he needed to impose that on the nation. That's despotic rule. Whether he's elected to the presidency or not is still a despotic rule, because when you have a president of the United States or any individual sole leader, Miss Markle of Germany, or the names can go on. When you have a single sole leader at the top of the nation, and that sole leader can simply issue an edict or even just an opinion, and have that opinion then be carried out by everyone supposedly subordinate to that role. By the way, in the United States, the president is subordinate to the American people and does not order us around. That's the Constitution. But if we live in a time where the president can just merely suggest something, and then all the states and the counties and the cities just simply hop to it as if it was like an edict from above, well, that's a despot. Whether the president of the United States is actually issuing a written edict, such as an executive order, or just simply offering an opinion up on TV that everyone then takes to heart and says, oh, we have to do it this way because the president said we have to do it this way. These are despots. America's had a despotic system, like I say, most of my adult life. Think back at it yourself. And I would invite you to post comments to this video here on YouTube. It's also going to be posted in Facebook, so you can post your comments there. I'd like for you to give me an example of a president in, well, let's just say from JFK forward, that did not rule in a despotic fashion. Like I say, maybe Gerald Ford. There might be aspects, in the past. But also, if you come up with a name, I'd also challenge you, can you come up with one in the last 20 years? And that I don't think you can. At any rate, so that's it. That's just a brief overview of despotism in America. We have it. We need to get rid of it. We need to stop this top-down management, because that's not the way the republic was built. If we're going to have a government for the people, then it actually has to be done at the people's level and not at the distant government of Washington, D.C. I'm going to close this by reminding you folks that in 1775 and 1776, well, actually on into 78, we fought against a despotic government in Britain. We fought to remove the king of Britain from running our daily lives and casting his edicts upon us. At that time, of course, that was, without representation. Well, we have representation now, but it's not doing us any good, because it's not a people's representation. It's a partisan representation. So to sum this up, basically the purpose of this video is to bring out to the American people that what America has today is a partisan, despotic government. We had it under Trump. We have it under Biden. We had it under Obama. Far back, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Reagan, go back in time. What we have are partisan, despotic leaders and partisan, despotic government. We need to reconsider our Constitution before we lose everything that ever was America. Thank you for your time today. Look forward to more videos from me about the Constitution, America, and our freedoms.